I don't know how well y'all can see into this wood stove. I know it's kind of shadowy, but before even putting anything in there, I leave some ash because it insulates the fire when it's starting really well. But I move ash to the sides and I make like a little trench down the middle, which allows the fire to catch better because it allows some oxygen through. But just down the middle underneath where we're going to pile all the kindling. It's not a necessity, but if you do have any coals left over in your stove, just pile them all right in the middle where you can't see in that big shadow. Pile them all right in the middle underneath where you're going to put your kindling, because it will absolutely help your fire catch. What really sucks is I didn't get to read this paper yet. I should have gone through and just picked out the really bad parts. Another thing that makes awesome kindling that everybody has around the house, well, almost everybody, toilet rollers. These things really, they hold the heat and the fire for a lot longer than the paper, and sometimes as long as some tree branches. So they keep the fire going and they help the branches catch that is going to be the next layer in kindling. Whew, it is cold out here. Now I keep, or sometimes I keep, I happen to be keeping right now, a bunch of really good stuff for starting a fire, branches and shavings or whatever. You don't have to have the shavings either. I've done it many, many, many times without it, with one match. But the branches, they're a big deal. What I do next is I make piles of branches and tiny ones, and then the next biggest ones, and then the next biggest ones, and then the next biggest ones. Because when the tiny ones catch from the newspaper, those kind of burn for however long, just long enough to catch the next biggest ones, and those burn long enough just to catch the next biggest ones, until eventually you're doing some branches that are more this size, and then you go another size up. Now on top of the branches, the biggest branches, it's good to have chips of wood, because these will catch next, and these will hold a coal and a fire much longer, long enough to catch your actual logs on fire. Okay, I'm back to the house with all the logs. Oh my God! Ah! Hey, Juju! Translation: fuck this snow. So, there's my logs. And they are partly wet on the ends. So of course, going with the same kind of rule of thumb, I pick the smaller logs to go on the bottom, and they go on the very top of my teepee. I'm trying to find the driest ones. Some people pile a lot of logs and kind of make like a whole small box, but since mine are kind of wet and the space is kind of small, I just put two pretty good sized ones on there that will really get going and catch. And then once they're going, you can put whatever in there. So here is the pre-one match finished setup. Alright. I use the big long matches. Hope that's not cheating. I think I could do it with a short match too if I had to. Okay. Let's see if this works. First I try to light up some of the paper. try to light up the toilet rollers, which will keep it going. I hope you can see. Pull that around. Light some more paper over here. See, we'll pull this around. Not too bad. Yay! It helps to blow on it a lot with your lips, or if you have one of those fancy blowers, which I don't have. But this one's definitely gonna go. There we go. Yeah, that's my one match fire. I'm gonna totally say that I'm actually really proud of this, and yeah, I'm proud. Now I'm gonna close that thing before it smokes out my whole house.